Well, blade lovers, welcome back to this Old Sword Blade Reviews. And I thought I'd make a departure today from showing you new blades. I am starting to do some collection videos, and preceding this one was one on some tactical fixed blades that I like to carry that are small and pocketable. But by the time this comes out, you will have seen that already, hopefully. And this one is just whimsical. Really, I'm calling it 6 Grails, and there's probably going to be at least one more video with some that didn't make it to this video, only because I don't want to take forever talking about 10 or a dozen knives. So I've got 6 today, and this one doesn't look particularly fancy, but it is a sought-after knife. It's not always available. We're seeing more of them coming out on Microtech website these days, and it is, of course, the original Stitch Auto, a Borka design, and beautifully made by Microtech. This one out of M390, and reason this is a Grail knife for me, that's what I'm calling these, is my Grail collection, is because it was so darn hard to get. It is kind of the auto by which other autos were judged, shall we say. Just because it's so darn unique, it is so ergonomic. Yes, when you choke up, you don't have a lot of blade left, but who cares? Because you can go back here and have a lot more blade left. It is a built strong, is an understatement. The immense stop pin, if you want to call it that, right here is, as you can see, just enormous. Let's see if we can get a measurement on that. Well, I don't want to measure everything today, but I figure this is not a bad way to go. That stop pin is 7.5 millimeters almost. That's significant, I'd say. 0.28 inches, so over a quarter of an inch on that big old pin, and also a very hefty and robust release on that plunge lock. You need to give it a good push in, as with the Socom Elite series on their autos. I love the jimping on this knife. It's just right. It is just grippy without being bitey. And look at that perfect placement for the thumb. Do you need the hole? No, but I think the original was a manual, so you used the hole to open it, and they just kept it kind of a signature. We've got a full backspacer jimped. It is a titanium, or is it aluminum? Well, the handle's aluminum. I'm going to guess that this is aluminum too. If you know different, let me know. I don't think it's going to be titanium on an aluminum handled knife, but who knows? This, of course, is steel thumb stud, or the release mechanism, that is. Blade, obviously, M390 being steel. A beautiful spear point blade, a true spear there, triangular shaped, with a bit of a belly here and a high enough grind to where this is wicked freaking sharp. I had to pause and go get some paper. I wasn't going to get this involved in showing you eye candy knives, but I think that's demo enough, and I'm not going to do that with all of them, but I was reminded how sharp this knife is when I put my finger up against it. She is a beast of a knife, and if you can ever get one, if you don't have one, grab hold of it. I'm going to set that up there, and we're working our way. Why not just go ahead and do another Microtech, huh? Yeah, well, this is the Socom Bravo, the Reich made knife. that everybody made a big fuss about. And it looked like Microtech was going to move their operations offshore, yeah, and make no more knives in the US and undercut their American workers and so on and so forth. Well, there's only this knife and the NX that are being made by Reich. And in the meantime, Marfione is gearing up and making all kinds of new stuff like the Ramlock MSI and actually a Ramlock version of the Stitch, which I have as well. This is pure eye candy. From the beautiful carbon fiber that's on both sides of the knife to the titanium clip, the titanium wicked space age, if you want to call that, ornate backspacer. And why is this one special? Because I also have the drop point. This is the Tanto, obviously. That is because the box is signed, and this was hand serrated by Tony Marfione himself. This was before they were getting any serrated models in from Reich. So we can argue that a part of the work has been done here in the US, in I believe their North Carolina shop. Just pure eye candy. That's what I'm calling it. And it is, yes, a robust knife that is crazy drop shut on bearings. Is also crazy ergonomic, just like the original Socoms. And of course, the Socom Bravo, the original was a custom item from Microtech. So it's nice that for roughly around 360 bucks or so, in that vicinity, up to 400, you can get these, and you can still get them at the Microtech Gear website. Try to leave you links to everything. Partially serrated, I like that, and I think it doesn't detract from it on this particular knife. And I don't have the box handy, but yes, there is Tony's signature on the side of the box in gold ink. That's the Socom Bravo. Let's jump to Max Ace, one of my favorites. Here we have the Max Ace Goliath. This is a special edition. This has the Damascus bolsters. Gorgeous. Look at that. It is a back flipper. It is a huge blade, 4¼ inches long. And what makes this one special too is that it is in it is in S90V, CPM S90V. I knew there was an M in there somewhere. M&M. It's just a real clean, beautiful knife. I like what they did. Look at that long ramp for the clip. That just goes so nicely in and out of the pocket. Look at how much space we got there and how gentle a ramp that is. And you can pull it out just about as easily as going in. That's a good idea, you know, a more shallow ramp going in the pocket and a little steeper going out so that it hangs in your pocket a little better, and it should, so it doesn't fall out, and it's almost completely deep carry. We're hoping they'll do this kind of a clip on some of their budgety K110 knives that have kind of that wonky clip on them, but this is a great job. And of course, beautiful carbon fiber. I love carbon fiber and titanium, particularly when the bolsters are Damascus. So not titanium bolsters, but Damascus steel bolsters. And a really nice stone wash to boot. Nothing fancy about the blade on this. A very utilitarian sort of a blade, but it is huge and it is pointy enough to do the job should you want to thrust around a little bit with it. And chimping is okay. It's okay. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's okay. Wonder how far I can back out before I reveal too much on the sides here. Well, I said we're going to talk about 6 knives that are part of my Grail collection. Here's one that I picked up recently, and it is absolutely gorgeous, from Reich Knives. And you're not going to find the name of the knife anywhere on there, but we have a beautiful pattern Damascus stainless. And yes, goes all the way through. It is not just somehow embossed on the surface. How they are able to get Chinese characters on here, I have no idea, except they use these, I think, tiny little rods and create the pattern, and then they weld it together somehow. In the review on this particular knife, and let me get you the name of the knife. You see, it doesn't really have a name. It has a number. It's the S05. Had to go look it up. Real sexy name, S05. But check out some of the eye candy on this guy. We've got Microtech backspacer. Look at that. We got Microtech clip. We even have a Microtech pivot. Look at that. And it's got the, if you look carefully, the Reich logo is in there. The R and the K. And it's a wicked part recurve knife with a bit of an upsweep here to the blade, point in line with the center. It's funny, they advertise this as kind of a user. I just don't see it as a user. And look what they did with this long groove, this trench down the middle that tapers towards the end and follows the line of the handle. And it's got a great edge on this one too. I'm not going to test them all, but I had to test the stitch for sure. Not as big a knife, a slightly smaller knife than the rest. Don't usually like the small ones. It's like a 3.6-inch blade and about 8 1/4 overall. So it's not a particularly large blade. It's more the medium. That's the Reich S05, if I recall that correctly. Again, I'm not great with numbers. Well, here's one that definitely is a Grail. And this is the Terrain 365. It is their Terravantium bladed knife. Terravantium being a dendritic cobalt. So it is the Invictus ATB. Such workmanship on this. You may or may not be impressed by the profile. You may want to look for something more radical. This is very much kind of like a spade sort of a blade at the end, you know, kind of like a garden spade, because it swells out a bit. It actually doesn't swell out a bit. It goes straight here and then rounds in so that you have a type of a spear point there. You have a flat. And we have, I think I demoed this on the review I did on it. Here's my UV light. There you can see, these are GID, these are phosphorus. These are not the radioactive type, okay? So it requires light on it to make them glow, but UV light will do a great job. You can see how long that's glowing. And helps you find it in the dark, I guess, but I think it's just more eye candy, frankly. We've got titanium bolsters. We've got a beautiful carbon fiber scales on both sides, a deep carry titanium clip. It is a frame lock with a hardened, likely titanium insert, because the entire knife, including the hardware, is non-magnetic. The hardware is all titanium. And I believe the lock insert is titanium as well. What they do is harden the titanium so that when it touches the blade, and then again, with the blade being, I think, only about 45 HRC, and don't let that fool you, because HRC means nothing with dendritic cobalt, because it isn't the hardness that gives you the wearability and the edge. It is the fact that you constantly have these tiny teeth being exposed as the blade gets used. You use the blade and it just continues to be sharp, although you can sharpen it. And a good person to look up on this is David Boye, B-O-Y-E, who kind of came up with the whole concept of casting metals. 440C he started with to create a dendritic steel. So in that case, it's a carbon steel. In this case, it is not. It is completely non-carbon, non-ferrous. But a beautiful knife and a great collectible, because I don't know how long they'll be making them. This is a recent run. I didn't think they'd be making them again, quite frankly. And number 6, last but not least, this isn't necessarily a beautiful looking knife, but it is a beautiful and impressive functioning knife. This is the big Dragotech from Bastianelli. It is such an impressive knife, not just because it's large, but because of the amazing action on it, because of the amazing ergos that Bastian Cove designed for it. Not because it's got an itty bitty little kind of glass breaker on there. It's a carbide glass breaker. None of that. It's the ergos, it's the look, it's the feel, it's the presence of this big knife that is just amazingly drop shut as well. This disc can be used as a wave open feature by just turning the knife a little bit as you pull it out of the pocket, and these gear type jimps on the circumference of it will catch and open the knife. And it opens, as you can hear, with authority. It's his sax style blade. I'm calling it a sax style blade that he uses on many of his combat style knives, tactical knives. And I think calling his stuff tactical art is certainly no overstatement. Here you have my 6. First 6 Grail knives. We'll think about doing another one of these up the line. I've done these in the past. I figure I just pull a few. Some are more recent. That's a more recent acquisition. That's a more recent acquisition, and so is the Reich. These I've had a bit, like a year and a half or more. And I brought that out first because it was my first knife that I called a Grail. Purchased from my local gun shop when I couldn't find him anywhere else at the time. He had, I think, one in. I snagged it, and the next day someone else was looking for it, so I got it just in time. All right, folks. Well, let me know which of these is your favorite, and that'll help me out a lot. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. I'll be back with you real soon. Take care.